Wolves in Portugal, a series of artistic lupine projects by Andre Sier, Uivo/Howl, Wolfspace, Wolfmachine, ArteCodigo.pt. ArteCodigo is a non-profit cultural association whose mission is to give voice and capacitate artists, scientists, designers, artisans and other creators capable of authorial voices with diversified cultural and scientific vision, converging in the challenges of the 21st century and in the innovative use of artisans' methodologies, open technologies and sharing economies. The overarching aim of ArteCodigo.pt is to foster, preserve, evaluate, promote non-human and human cultures in order to establish a unique and innovative cultural heritage of authorial nature, laid in the principles of sustainability and efficient resource usage, and also within innovative perspectives of DIY, do-it-yourself, DIWO, do it with others, and open source/open hardware. Wolves in Portugal /us Lobos Portugal. Wolves in Portugal is a series of artistic lupine projects by Andre Sier, stemming from Wolf.com series, researched in depth following Wolf.com video game creation, collaborating with the scientific institution Grupo Lobo and Tibio. Wolves in Portugal 2018-2022 is an artisans project that aims to create contemporary culture and public attractions in electronic arts and new media associated with technological innovation and preservation of ecological biodiversity, with a specific focus on the Iberian wolf Canis lupus signatus within Portuguese territory. Wolf is a legendary, totemic, mythological being. It is a strong theme in literature and present in the region, an indicator of a balanced ecosystem in decline or at risk of extinction, even though the first species recognized with a protected species status by Portuguese legislation. It imposes the struggle to preserve it, with art in the role of choice. The project focused on wolf proposes the creation of artistic objects in artisans, aiming to foster and promote culture and generate opportunities to rethink attitudes in the preservation of natural and cultural heritage, an indispensable condition for a more sustainable society. Wolves in Portugal. Howl, Andre Sier, artist, investigador, professor, ArteCodigo, planetary collegium, Universidade de Portugal. Wolves in Portugal. Howl, at the roots of computational space, as at the roots of forest space, plays a vibrant and pulsating ecosystem of life, in constant rumble, crackle, delicate imbalances, spheres of biological life, spheres of electronic life, inhabited and walking through a multiplicity biological species and electronic programs, transistors and cells, smell, resistances, colors, sounds and data, electricity and sap, particles and electromagnetic radiation, electronic ecosystems remaking non-human borders, territories, and in these, through lines of flight, deterritorialize them one logos of bios and electronic logos, running in its triple logotic meaning, simultaneously operational and regulated, founder of knowledge memory, and plateau screen of constant redefinition. These premises of bioelectronic articulation, conjugation and mixing led to a larger investigation, updated in works and research that make up Wolf.com series, works that combine animality and cybernetics in evolving and habitable aesthetic laboratories, in the form of immersive mythological video games and non-human bioelectronic aggregates. Works of Wolf.com are the subject of a completed doctoral study to a series from which new wolf-inspired works were selected and created as part of the project, produced by ArteCodigo's Lobos Portugal 2020-2022, of which the individual exhibition of electronic arts Howl, as well as the bio-vegetable paintings, the automobile public art sculptures, the site-specific bioelectronic interactions by Wolfmachine, the application for mobile devices Wolfspace that offers an interactive secular cartography as a tool to generate sculptures of space wolf in Portuguese territory. In addition to wolves, Wolf.com series focuses on dragons and snakes, ants and plants, bacteria and human and non-human interaction, works ecosystems where non-human elements are predominant and guides that lead clues to territories unknown to humans. So we return to the Wolfspace, from which Wolf.com series was named and from which the eponymous video game Wolf.com 2017 was produced. After Dragon's Rock Howl and the Kunfu 2015 and contemporary of Nix's own Ixol and the Kunfu 2017 Wolf game in which we play with a machine in a network with other nodes, with other machines, where a virtual pack territorializes a cyberspace in an infinite and progressive post-human scenario. Spaces generated from the sculpture of sequences of data obtained in the electronic micro-landscape programs, data, processes, radiation, the wolf pack that inhabits and rebuilds a cybernetic and psychic network of instantaneous interconnection, inspired by the central role of a new cybernetic space in the process of merging with that of an apex predator, whose archetypal visage of the spiritual warrior protecting and essential biodiversity has even had recent repercussions as profound ecosystemic changes such as the geological modification of riverbeds and the renewal and establishment of an order that engenders a space. The role of selective predator that maintains a dissonant harmony held across kilometers, instituting a territorial veil, the results of which go far beyond the neglect and destruction evident during his absence, and yet this unforgettable moment of howling, of the sound that warns, that pulse, that echoes, that makes you tremble, that ricochets, that lightnings the silence of the night, during dozens of kilometers, sometimes piercing several other wolf packs that chant shamanic songs among them, establishing an aura of velvety invisible dominion, an aura of power, of biological hierarchy, unpredictable, bioherbivore, reverberated and geolocated, attuned with the sweet disharmony of biodiversity. Wolves in Portugal, Howl, aesthetically, Wolf and the Tom's imagery was preceded. The company then continued with a series of computer drawings made on a plotter in Ality Coast drawings, Wolf and the Tom drawings, Bind and a series of sculptures made in a 3D printer of photos, Wolfspace sculptures for the continuation of work on the series on Wolf. I approached Grupo Lobo, a non-profit lupine research institute based at the Faculty of Sciences of the University of Lisbon, which leads the project of the Recovery Center for the Iberian Wolf, whose aim is to recover and protect Canis lupus signatus, a globally threatened lupine species. Their numbers have been decreasing exponentially over the last 50 years, even promoting them to be recognized with the legal status of an endangered species, as only about 300 Iberian wolves are present, and, significantly, only in a small region of the country in the northern interior of Portugal. With Grupo Lobo, the collaboration involved learning about the historical distribution in the various Portuguese regions throughout the 20th century from 1900 to 1990. CF. Doctoral thesis Professor Francisco Etrucci could also involve learning about the behavioral models of wolves and comparing them with ones I had already programmed within the Wolf and the Tom video game, pack physical and mechanical properties, as well as sensory data and communication strategies were also addressed. The second, more practical collaboration with Grupo Lobo included the production of 2 artworks, in design and discussion since 2018, inaugurated in October 2021, under his supervision, the 2.5-meter high totemic sculpture of Wolf in structural view in Wolf number 1, 2021, and a bioelectronic work designed for wolves and non-human ecosystems, consisting of electronic mini laser beacons, robotic and programmed from scratch, spread over the landscape, which can in sync with visual patterns through the rhythmic emission and composed of beams of green laser light for the sky and surrounding landscape. The generative composition performed by the lasers is based on historical data on the evolution of the lupus population in Portugal during the 20th century. Each decade of data from Portuguese municipalities collected by Grupo Lobo's scientific research consists of records of sightings of live or dead wolves where it is possible to observe the geographical distribution of Canis lupus signatus over time 1901 to 2000 up to its current almost extinction. The second scientific lupus research group involved was Center for Research in Biodiversity and Genetic Resources of the University of Porto, a northern Portuguese biological research institute that has scientists who are actively monitoring wolves in the wild. Collaboration with Professor Francisco Vares from involved expert scientific advice and permission to use GPS geolocated data from his own research. Biologists attach GPS collars to some pack members, visit wolf inhabited sites to gather more evidence, and monitor their activities remotely with non-invasive methods that would otherwise involve contact with humans. This valuable information allowed me to artistically build a visualization of how these animals build their use of space. how they territorialize, allowed me to observe how wolves occupy and travel through a territory that was once natural, today almost human. This information, which represents non-invasive monitoring for long periods of time, 1 or more years, also represents the metadata of the biological logic that the animals unfold when in the little freedom they have left, and also when they are not under observation, or in limited spaces. In addition to comparing the dynamics of this data of real wolves with the dynamics of the artificial intelligence of the virtual wolves that I created for the workflow and become, I also started to build an interactive 3D visualization and sculpture maker application designed for interaction with tablet devices. Wolfspace 2019-2022. The application recreates in 3D structural graphics the path of wolves made through the voxelization of GPS data over time through an algorithm of marching cubes. Wolves paths become lines of virtual occupation of territory and accumulated over time. The space inhabited by these sample wolves augmented with GPS colors becomes a space wolf-space with actual portions of wolf territory, as it is made by wolves in a non-human landscape. Machine drawings, fabricated sculptures, video games, and by electronic workspace on wolf themes make up this electronic arts exhibition Uivo, which stems from the artisans project TheWolvesInPortugal by ArteCodigo Cultural Association. The Howl exhibition is accompanied by an evolutionary public art sculpture Automobile No. 1 located at the Iberian Wolf Recovery Center, an evolutionary work of biological graffiti by Howl No. 218 at the headquarters of Cultivo Sculpture in Essos, Odemira. Also an interactive work for tablet Wolfspace to visualize the history of wolves in Portugal since the 20th century, which will be released free of charge for Android platforms in the final realization of the project. TheWolvesInPortugal is an artisans project that aims to create contemporary culture and public attractions in electronic arts and new media associated with ecological innovation and preservation of ecological biodiversity. Wolf is a legendary, totemic, mythological being. It is a strong theme in literature and present in regions, an indicator of a balanced ecosystem in decline or at risk of extinction. The struggle to preserve it is imperative. With art in rule of choice, the project focused on wolf proposes the creation of artistic objects in artisans, aiming to foster and promote culture and generate opportunities to rethink attitudes in the preservation of natural and cultural heritage, an indispensable condition for more sustainable human societies capable of hearing wolves howl. Note 1. Expressions such as editorializing and lines of flight are key concepts constructed by Delve and Guattari, both to found ontology in perpetual difference and to show the fullness of the body without an organ in the ontogenic formation of a fully actualized virtuality in the ecosystemic moment of the body non-body, porous, the planet without borders. 2. The doctoral research and subsequent dissertation entitled Wolf and Become, Questing an Imaginary Art Framework for Immersive on Human Global Environment was produced under the Planetary Polygene doctoral program at Plymouth University under the guidance of Professors Roy Scott, Mike Phillips, and Jane Grant. 3. See the important role of the reintroduction of wolves in Yellowstone Park, which in a short period of time contributed to salutary changes that promoted animal and plant biodiversity, having even been responsible for altering the course of the riverbed, as well as fortifying its banks, because due to its surgical predatory wolf, species that decimated the vegetation of the coastal edge of the river are now kept further away, giving rise to the reintroduction of local animal and plant species of the ecosystem. See, for example, the videos of ArteCodigo, the ArteCodigo, Wolves in Portugal, a series of artistic lupine projects by Andre Sier, Uivo/Howl, Wolfspace, Wolfmachine. The communication to Solar Pump event, 28th of October 2022. Thank you.